All right, welcome to the September 14th edition of the Key Ministry Idea Share. And this is something we've been doing since March. We last met 2 weeks ago, and so I think we have a lot of catching up to do, lots going on. My name is Beth Golick from Key Ministry, and I'm joined with Catherine Boyle, our Director of Mental Health Ministry. And let's just get started. Who has something new to report? What's going on? Yes, Diane.
Okay, well, it was a very exciting weekend here in San Antonio. First of all, we didn't have triple digit weather, so woo, that was nice. Low 90s, and we're thinking it's a cold front. So, but we did on Saturday, we had our, we call it Faith Runs Global. It's a 5K, 10K, 1 mile. We had, I think 5 different continents and over 10 countries. But the most important part was that our sports life partnered for the 3rd year with special needs and an organization. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ainsley's Angels. It's Ainsley'sAngels.org. And so this is our 3rd year. And so everything was virtual except at our church on Saturday. We started our race off with 12 teams, which means 12 special needs in a chariot, a racing chariot. We marked off in our parking lot a 5K. It actually was, you could do half of a 5K or the full 5K, depending on what you wanted to do. And so we had so much fanfare, so much fun. Every chariot had we had just that spray paper, but so we had, we teamed up with an agency, not agency, I don't know what they call it, but it's called iRun, and they normally do 5Ks, but in San Antonio, there's been no races at all since the pandemic. So this was the first time for all of them to get out and actually run. Our lead pastor has, for the last 2 years, pushed his mother with cerebral palsy. She passed away this year. And so we put one of our most beloved little sweeties in the chariot for him to push. And of course he came in first place. But it wasn't really a competition. So all Saturday morning, we just, so many of our staff, we limited the volunteers because we were making it very safe. We had it in our park pavilion outside. We had social distancing. I took almost by myself, almost everybody's temperature, but I had a little bit of help. So we just wanted to make sure everyone was good to go. We had a stage and we, it was the 2 years before was it was on site and it was all through the, I don't know, neighborhood 5K and huge with thousands. And this was so fun to just have it focus on our 12 families. So we are looking at how we can do that again in the spring and just do a special event like this and not have it be even part of another bigger event. So, and the lead pastor and I also talked about, just how we can use and do. So that was our big excitement there. And then our opened up for the first time in person on Sunday. So we went from 5 services, which we did in the past with 1 on Saturday and 4 on Sunday, to 1 on Saturday and only 3 on Sunday so that we could space it out in between. So we opened up everything. And just to report in, I would say then I don't have the numbers, but everything was about 50%. Our worship center holds 3,000 and our kids are combined 1st through 5th grade. And then we have kinder, and then we have our preschool. And just from general, I would say for most of the services, we were out right about 50%. Every staff person and volunteer was temperature checked. Everyone had to wear a mask 1st grade and up. We did social distancing. We had no problems. There was not one issue. I mean, I even talked with security during the last service. We didn't have anything. I don't know what it's called, but we had these, I call them fumigators, but they're not, but it's like a leaf blower, but it sprays out disinfectant. And so we did every classroom, every hallway, our worship, and we made sure everyone had to leave the building out or couldn't come in until 15 minutes before. And so we did that. We'll have to wait and see what happened. Hopefully no one got sick, but special needs was, even though everything was about 50%, we were at about 30% down in numbers, which didn't surprise me because I talked to a lot of our families. Our online group was right at normal. We kept that going. And so we had our participation there, but in person, with our kids during those service times, it was pretty sparse. So we're just going to pray that when those families are, a lot of them waiting, I think, to see how this went, and then they'll be back. So anyhow, it was, very exciting for us. So
Wow.
thanks
That
for
was a
letting me share, because I'm excited.
big weekend. Last report. Thank you. So, okay, first of all, how many did you say your church normally serves on a Sunday or on a weekend?
Oh, a weekend, normally about 15,000.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, we were clearly from the parking lot, from just me walking around and talking to people. I don't know, I always chit chat with the security team because they're my friends. I mean, I rarely have to call on them, but there has been cases in the past 13 years that I have. So, but working there, but and just kind of making sure, because the biggest thing was just kind of some of the communication issues about some of it, like people were upset to be standing outside and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we probably, once I get the official numbers, but I would assume that the weekend was at least 7,500.
Wow. For most of us, that's bigger than our churches have ever been. So, wow. Okay. So couple things. So Catherine put the Ainsley'sAngels.org address in the chat so people can check that out. I do want to know, like, when you had the event and also the services, like, were people just beyond excited to see each other and to be back?
It was, I mean, especially during the event. Of the 12 that came for the event, none of them came to the weekend services because they couldn't this is the first time they had been out. And so the families were just like, we were being very careful, but we were very limited. Like, we even limited at the park pavilion, like, so many of our volunteers and staff wanted to be at the start and finish. And we were like, no, we cheer them on as they run around. And that's what you get to do. You get to cheer them on. They had signs and cowbells and stuff like that. But we wanted to just totally minimize how many people the families were exposed to, because they were all wanting to socialize. So, and it was up to the families. We did all of the presentations. They got their medals. They could have left. I mean, if they chose to, they could have come, done the race, and left. But most of the families, because they were all so glad to see each other again. So it was fun. But I mean, like for our church our size, 12 families, that's like super small. So, but yeah, but they were none of them. They all said, we're not ready to come back with that many people with our kids. And I say kids, the youngest was probably 12 and the oldest was 57.
Okay. Another thing that I heard was that you are thinking about doing this event again in the spring. Which is probably something you wouldn't have done. So there's a little pandemic blessing for you. All right, thank you for sharing all that. Does anybody else want to go next? That's that's a tough one to top, but it's not a competition. So who wants to go next and share what's going on?
I could go out of the extreme non-reopening sector out here. We wake up every day in California and think that maybe the sky will be clear at some point to do something. So we hold that up. We have families, right, that are in desperate need of respite, but we're not really able to engage in people's homes and all that. And even meeting outdoors at church has been rough because the air has been so bad. But my intern, Melanie, for this year, she suggested, what if we did yard work for people? Went to people's houses and provided some kind of yard work because we'd be outside. There are a lot of college students and a lot of high school student sibling groups that volunteer as buddies, and we thought we could send them as a group so they're not intermixing with other cohorts of people. And so we could send individual apartments or individual families to go do some yard work for some of our inclusion and respite families who are deep in online learning with all of their kids right now. All of our schools, except for our preschool right now online. So I thought that was a great idea. Something we have to wait till the sky is a bit more blue and not as much gray. There's also a lot of ash everywhere. So it'd be like, hey, we'll come sweep up your ash that has accumulated for the last month. So I thought that was kind of a nice outside the box idea to provide some respite for families with still the limitation of not being able to really engage person to person in that way. We do have a lot of families. So we are trying to restart our youth ministries, social distance, in person and small groups. And we do have a subset of inclusion families that don't feel comfortable coming back in person. And I anticipated that. So this, again, could be a nice way for them to still feel connected to church and feel like, we love them and we see them. So I'm hoping that this can happen within the next month, hopefully. So as long as nothing else catches on fire, no more like apocalyptic things
Seriously.
here, we could do that. But I thought 1 to 2 hours of yard work with 2 people, that could be really nice for a family. So
Yeah, I love that. And it, not only does it serve the families, but that's really a great way to engage your volunteers too, and continue to connect them to the heart and the mission of what you're all about. So I love that. Thank you. Yeah, we continue to pray for California. Boy, you guys have really had an interesting year.
yeah, I think everybody gets a turn. This is just our turn, I guess. Al had his turn in New York back, March,
Yep.
April, May. Yeah, they had their turn, so we all get a turn, I think.
Yeah. Hey, Al, you guys were in person, right? In New Jersey?
Yes, we started up on 2 of our campuses, our 2 biggest ones, on yesterday morning. My in-laws were in town, so I didn't go to the services. I did drive by and took some video and pictures. It was pretty loud. We're in an industrial complex, so we could be as loud as we want without bothering neighbors, which is a real good thing. So that was good. Yeah, the 2 services in our main campus were supposed to be full, although it didn't look full when I was there for the first service, but second one's usually jammed out, so I'm sure that was the case. In the afternoon at 5 o'clock on 3 of the campuses, we had a drive-by parade for special needs families. I think there were about 20 cars on our campus. We were the first one, so we didn't see, but we almost did a full cycle and hit the last car, so there were quite a few cars. We realized we hadn't seen a bunch of those people in 6 months. We hadn't really met in person in 6 months, so that was really good. The next 2 weeks are in person outdoors with masking and 6 feet and all that stuff. And so I'm not sure for October what the plan is, but so far, if the weather holds up, and it's been a nice Indian summer so far, so that's worked out well for us in Liquid in New Jersey.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I know for those of you who have been to Inclusion Fusion Live, then you're familiar with my church, which is Bay Presbyterian Church, and it's right on Lake Erie. And it is on, like right on a road. And we've been having our services outdoors, which is great. Except every single Sunday, there's like a caravan of motorcyclists that go by during the sermon. And so there's like always this like 3 or 4 minute period where you just can't hear anything. But, and it did rain this Sunday. So we were rained out. So there was no outdoor service. Everybody watched from home, except for staff. We went in and watched because we had a new pastor. And so it was his first Sunday preaching. So, all right, who else? Yes, Barb.
So we have been back, our whole church has been back in person for about a month or so now. And it's gone really well. We are doing our special needs ministry completely differently than what we did before the pandemic. So it's actually been a blessing because we have learned what works well with our new format. And our new format is a special needs ministry classroom with our small group meeting in there. And we have learned that there are different techniques we can do there that work best for some kids. And when we're not able to just have our buddies available for people coming in, this means that the rest of the volunteers in our children's ministry are more open, even more open to learning about training. So we are doing trainings before service on ways they can be more inclusive. And I think that when this is all back to normal, we're going to look at doing a model of having one special needs classroom, one service, and a buddy ministry, the other service, to kind of broaden out things for everyone. So it's actually worked out pretty well. We've been pretty happy with it.
All right, I love it. There's another pandemic blessing. Thank you for sharing, Barb. Who else?
I'll go.
Yep. Jessica.
Hello. So we opened this weekend and we were about 30% capacity church and our Able ministry as well. So we did 2 services and we had buddy ministry going on in both of those services for our elementary age children and then for our young adults. And so we have a high school young adult Able ministry that has their own class, an inclusion class. And this one's been kind of a struggle for us because some of them go to our adult worship and then their parents are in a Bible study. So then they attend their 11 o'clock kind of Bible study class. And curriculum's difficult because a lot of them prefer younger age children curriculum. And they've already sat through adult service, and so we can't do adult service again. So
Sit down.
we've been doing children, like, kids curriculums. And it's kind of been, it's a tough go trying to decide if this is appropriate, but the parents all say they love it and they want to do it. So we continue to offer children's curriculum to young adult, to our young adults. So this week we did it a little bit because we can't have a large group worship time. So we did small group worship times where we used cartoon Bible stories. So we used Lifeway and the Gospel Project. And so we used that and we used the videos and then we kind of turned it into our own adult Bible study afterwards, and it really was wonderful. We put it on a USB, kind of made our own sermon. We pre-recorded a service and put in our worship songs, and so they did it when they wanted to within the hour, and then had their own kind of discussion, like adult discussion about the Bible lesson. So it was kind of we've been praying and praying of what do we want this to look like. And this was kind of a last minute, well, it's our first week back, but we can't go to large group worship. What are we going to do? So this is what we came up with, and it was great. So we may kind of be venturing into our own adult kind of curriculum for our inclusion class. So it was great. Our buddies were great. We had quite a few that didn't come. They wanted to see how the first week went and let us work the kinks out, and then we have quite a few coming next week. So this week we are sending out pictures of all of our teachers with masks and without masks, and kind of we have made a little video of the rooms for the families to watch so that they can prepare for when they come next week. So those that didn't want to come the first week are getting a little more of a preparation than those that came the first week, because we were able to kind of record and do some things last week. But the opening went great, and we also had a picnic an outdoor picnic for an hour. Everyone brought their own lunches within our ministry, volunteers, families, and we just kind of sat and fellowship and had lunch. And that was the first time that we'd really all been together, because more of them came to that than they did to church. And so it was great for us to all be together.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. I love that. I love that everyone is being so creative and kind of trying new things to fit the situation, and then realizing like, hey, this is a better way of doing things. So I love that. Thank you for sharing, Jessica. Who else wants to fill us in on what's going on? Yes, Allison.
Hi there. So we've got a new venture going on in church, and it was God's way of getting me out of the way. I've not been able to make any of the meetings due to doing the online schooling of my first grader and senior. So that was part of God's plan all along, but I was quite grateful at this stage. Our church is actually going to be becoming the local school district's life skills classroom setup. So it's a venture between, let's say, our local school district and our senior pastor, and they're very excited, and they've got it all up and running to start from later this week. As I say, initially I was kind of like, what? And then I couldn't make any of the meetings anyway, so they've been able to do it all up and running, and it's nothing to do with the special needs ministry as such, but there's something beautiful in the fact that it's the church doing special needs for the community. And then what was really wonderful was that they're actually going to have 20 children from elementary age up through high school age. And they're going to bring all the teachers, they're going to bring nurses, they're going to bring the teaching aides, and then any volunteers from church who want to help will be into like 2-hour chunks to be like teaching aides, to help take them outside if they want a break. So yeah, it's kind of, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so I actually got chills when you told us about this, because this is such a cool collaboration between the school and the church, and what an opportunity.
And I was the one holding my hand up at the beginning going, oh my goodness, I can't see how this can work. This is oh my word. And then God just like got me out of the way.
I love it.
Wait till I get up and running.
Hey, I have a question. So
Tell me.
Tom and Julie, is this happening in Virginia too? Because I know in my area, YMCAs are doing a similar kind of thing to what you said, Allison, but I'm not aware of churches in the state, but that's like, that's a little bit out of the normal range of things that I would see. So I thought the Meekins might know.
Did you want to say?
I was just going to say we work with the Salvation Army, but I don't know in that type of capacity. Do you have any other?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of planning thoughts on that. Nothing in motion yet, but they've been doing a lot of discussing about how can we invite the community into the facility, especially in our snoozling room, the sensory room. And how can, and we're already doing that in the sense that we're having families come in during the week, but we're about ready. They're all so busy, like Bronwyn said, or somebody else said, Allison, teaching your children at home, most of the parents aren't even coming anymore because they're just trying to figure it out, and this is the early stages of it. So once they figure it out, maybe like it can happen again for them, right, Allison? So yeah. So that's one thing. But one thing that our daughter's church in Maryland is doing, we thought this was fascinating. She came to visit us last weekend. They're doing something called homeroom, and they're inviting the parents who actually have children that they're schooling at home, but not the traditional homeschooling that, before COVID, but this, the school system schooling. These kids just need to get out of the house. And so they decided that they were going to set up a room in their facility where the kids could bring their computers, and they could, they have their headphones and earbuds and stuff, and they could, tune into their classes, but in a different place. It's just a different building, it makes all the difference in the world. And then they go outside to have their lunch. They bring their lunch, they go outside to have their lunch. So they got a little break there, and then they come back in, and they're experimenting with this. Becca said that the first week went really, really well, and everybody was super happy. I think they did it 2 days, and then they were going to talk about doing it more days of the week, but they wanted to experiment with that first. So that is pretty exciting that they're doing that, and maybe we can model that. So
they're opening up the church and providing excellent internet for the children to log into, and that's sometimes a challenge with public schools going online. There's lots that don't have the good internet.
Wow. Yeah, I love to hear about any kind of collaboration efforts going on between schools and our churches, because just the potential there is just unbelievable. I love it. Yeah.
I was just going to say, the beauty of it was I think the families were actually told about it on Friday, and on Saturday we had our respite pizza and craft pickup. So the families drive through and they pick it up, and 2 of the families were like, we've just heard our children are going to be coming to school here and they're so excited. They want to get out the car now. And these two families have nothing to do with our church besides respite. So it's just the continued links. So yeah, prayers.
Oh, so cool. So cool. Yay. Boy, this is a good day. How about challenge? Oh yeah, Doc, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and jump in with things we've been doing and get going on. We've this is now our second month of doing our virtual respites, and what we've been doing, we're doing them in the evening by age. So we've got 4 different ones set up, one for preschool, one for elementary, teens, and then for adults. This month, we're doing a carnival theme for all of them. Last week was our teens and adults. We're having a great, impact with that. Our individuals are having a great time with it. We had them actually riding rides at amusement parks, and they felt like they were actually on the roller coasters. So that was a lot of fun. The parents are feeling like they're getting a little bit of a break. We're meeting for about an hour. This week or next week, we'll do the elementary and the preschoolers, and we're going to continue doing this now on a regular basis moving forward, because we're just not going to be able to do in-person respite until the new year at the earliest. So, and that's going well. We're also doing our virtual parent support group. And again, all of this is open to anybody throughout the country. What's been cool is we've been having participants from multiple states attending since it's all been virtual. So our parent support group will be this Thursday night. It's the third Thursday of each month. And we're starting to get more buy-in and input with that too. So just trying to give parents another opportunity to meet with other parents who get it and can just share and have a time where they can just, talk about whatever they want. We've got two moms that run that, who are passionate about parent advocacy and helping them out with all that as well. Other things we've got going on. We've got our Wonderfully Made conference coming up. Want to encourage everyone to do that. We've got 65 plus speakers from all over the country and Canada coming into it. It's going to be a great opportunity with that too. And then I know there's something else big that has now left my mind that I was going to share, but who knows? We've got other things going on. I'm sure it'll come to my mind, and I'll share it in a little bit. But our respite though have been going well with our families and that, and it's been a cool experience that we'll probably continue doing as we move forward with it. It's been a lot easier than we thought it would be. We've actually been able to partner with one of the local universities where their OT and PT students are working with us with it as volunteers, and they're going to be our virtual buddies. And part of their training, they're going to help develop some of our respite nights, virtual respite nights. So that's been cool to see the input with that. So just some of the things we've got going now with that. This week too, for our talk with Doc, it's going to be, I think, a very timely one. It's going to be trauma, the pandemic, and special needs families. I've got a trauma counselor here locally who specializes with special needs. And so we're going to be talking about that and just not the impact on families, but also we need to know that as ministry leaders, especially as everyone's coming back in. So encourage all of you to check that out.
Awesome, thank you. So sourcespecialneeds.org. That was a lot of info, Wonderfully Made, upcoming talk with Doc, info on the respite events. Catherine just put it in the chat there, so thank you. And again, I love just the creativity for how you're continuing to serve and engage volunteers too. So many, even though your events aren't happening in person. So thank you, Doc. Who else? Yes, Christy.
So I'm at Wheaton Bible Church in the Chicago suburbs, and our worship services have been meeting for a couple of months now, but we hadn't opened any of our children's ministry. Well, this Sunday we opened children's, junior high, and our Shine special needs ministry. So I had no idea what to expect. None of our kids' families felt comfortable sending them back. So it was mainly our teens and adults, but we had 5 come back to our room, which, you know, out of a ministry of probably, we have 30 to 35 on our roster and whatever. I was just excited that those who have been asking me for the last 3 months, when can we come back, that they were able to send their children. So it went, overall, I felt like it went really well. I planned for parts of things that I needed to plan for, and other things, like I realized for 1 hour and 15, trying to keep them kind of at their tables with their buddies was too long without a sensory break. So I'm trying to figure out kind of how do we get some activity and motion built in without getting everybody all mixed in together, you know, that kind of thing. So just thinking through how it needs to look going from here, but it was so sweet to see, you know, the first kid that got there went over right away to the dry erase board and wrote, "Welcome back, long time no see," and then he said, "Long time no see" to everybody who came in the room. And you know, just, you know, it was just sweet. And because we usually have 2 rooms open, and I was struggling to get enough volunteers, but because we only had enough to open 1 room, I had plenty of volunteers. And so it was just, I was so grateful to the Lord for providing for the day. And, you know, it just felt really good to be back together. And actually, you know, we've got more planning to do, but it went as smoothly as I could have hoped for. We'll say that. So it was good.
That's awesome. Show of hands, how many of you are back in your church buildings for children's / special needs ministry? So about half from what I can see. Okay. All right. Doc, did you have something?
Yeah, just real quick. I just remembered the other thing I meant to share with everyone. One of the other pluses with COVID that's come out for us is as I've been talking with other churches, and actually as we've been preparing for the Wonderfully Made conference, obviously one of the things that I always want to do whenever I go to a conference, you know, when gone to Inclusion Fusion, is always take a tour of the ministry there and see what things are like. So one of the ideas I have to do for a talk is do a disability ministry tour. I'm going to have 5 ministries we'll highlight from around the country. But as I'm thinking through that and praying through, God just laid on my heart and talking with other churches, SOAR is actually going to create a virtual ministry directory that's open to every church. And I think it's especially important right now for churches, as so many ministries, things are different, look different for our families as they're coming back. It's raising anxiety for our individuals coming in. They don't know what it's like, don't know what to expect. Routines are out of, you know, for them. And so if they could at least even have a video to see what things look like, that would help them. So we're going to do that. It's going to be searchable by state and city and all that, but it's going to help you with helping families see what you do. You be able to get new families because they know you're doing something, be able to help you recruit new volunteers because they'll see what your church is doing. And then it'll help all of us. It'll help ministries see what other ministries are doing, get ideas of actually hands-on. At the same time, as I've talked with a lot of churches, they're like, "Oh, I've always wanted to do something like this. We just don't have the bandwidth on our website to do it, or we have to jump through too many hoops." So you don't have to worry about that anymore. We'll do all that work for you. We'll host it. All you'll have to do is create a 5 to 10 minute video. And we're going to be launching it right after the Wonderfully Made conference. So if you're interested in doing that, get with me. You can send it to info@soarspecialneeds.org. Again, info@soarspecialneeds.org. But we're hoping to be able to work with all of you and help you out with that, be able to showcase your ministries.
Awesome. That is going to be a terrific resource. I'm kind of chuckling because one of my classrooms is, since the building is kind of closed as far as having students in on Sunday mornings, but the preschool is open, but they had to open up more preschool rooms to do social distancing. So all this extra furniture got shoved in my classroom. So mine is not ready for its close-up at the moment. Hopefully soon. I'll share something that our church is doing. So I think I mentioned this probably a couple weeks ago, but so our children's ministry is starting, we're calling it Kids Church Online. And so we're basically recording like a 20, 25 minute, kind of like what you would see in elementary, you know, like a worship segment and the story, you know, hosted story. You've got the comic host and the credible host and all that kind of thing. So it's, we're filming this afternoon. So here's the logo, Kids Church Online. And so we'll start airing those on Sunday mornings with the idea that as families do their, you know, sit down on their couch to stream the service, a few minutes after the worship segment of the, you know, big church service, then somehow the kids will then get to watch the Kids Church Online. So the idea is not only is it giving them kind of that Sunday school experience, but it's also allowing the parents to concentrate on the sermon, because our church is about to do an 8-week session where everybody is focusing on one book and that type of thing. So so we'll see how that goes. And that'll all be, if you're interested, you'll be able to view that on our website, which is baypres.org.
That sounds really great. We do something pretty similar, but we do it just before the online adult service, and then we always end it with an activity, so the kids can be busy working on the activity while the adults are focusing on, so that was kind of our thought in that. But we've been doing that, and that's been going really great. And it's also been fun because it's showcasing the different children's leaders, and they've included me in that, so that now I'm becoming more familiar to all of the kids and families, and bringing in just some normalcy to special needs and sign language and just whatever, so that's been really a cool thing.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you. Yeah, I hope that's the case with us too. What was I going to say? I'm also, so I think I had told you all, I was doing Zooms with my teens and adults, special needs teens and adults. And so I had been doing those like on a weekday. But now that, you know, some kids are back at school, or, you know, some programs are starting to open up, I'm actually doing them on Sunday morning in between the two services. So, you know, it's theoretically a time that they would normally be available. And it has been fantastic. We've had a really great group each time, like super engaged. We talk a little bit about, you know, what's going on, and then we do the Bible story. We do like pretty much the same song every time because it's a crowd favorite, and it's really fun. I really look forward to it. And so so that's been a good move, a good change. Jennifer in the chat says that her church has partnered with the YMCA to provide care as well. Oh, good. As well as assisting with online classes while parents work from 7 to 7 Monday through Friday. 4 of our campuses are host sites. So great. So that sounds a little bit like what a few of you have mentioned, and they're doing both. That's wonderful. Wow. Jennifer, where are you located?
That's here in Kansas.
Oh, that's okay. Great. I knew that. Okay. Wonderful.
I was just going to say, Beth, another fun thing that we do, or I've been doing, is with our young adults and adults, is meeting in the middle of the week. And then also our Sunday class has been going strong. So that's been great. And I think I've shared before, we use the Lifeway Access curriculum with that, and actually do a lot of screen sharing with it. And I send it to them so they can print it at home, but then we screen share it and talk about it. But another thing our church does, and it's called Right Now Media, and we provide it free to everybody. And so what I've done, and even though they can do it on their own, and I think it came up earlier, someone was talking about, you know, using kids curriculum for the young adults or the adults and what they like and what they don't. And I tried this several weeks ago and it's just been a hit. But I screen share the Mr. Phil show, which is Phil Vischer on Right Now Media.
Mm-hmm.
Goes Old Testament through the Old Testament, then he has a history lesson, and then he has right now we just ended 1 John. I think I don't know what week we're on, but it's been several. So I didn't know if that was going to work or not, and then all of a sudden, I mean, they just love it. I mean, and it is meant for kids, but I mean, even the parents and caregivers that sit in and watch, I mean, you can see like parts of their head, like they're trying to have the, you know, their child, or, you know, sometimes it's their sister or whoever they're taking care of. And and I get like, sometimes they're texting me like, I never knew that, or, you know, while I'm trying to do it, but I'm screen sharing. So it's like, I can text. So that's worked really well for us. I don't know if anyone else wants to try that, but
yeah, our church just, and like, we just last week launched, you know, we all now have Right Now Media accounts. So I'll have to keep that in mind. Julie, did you have something to share?
Sure. We've made the commitment to not meet with the disability ministry. Our Kids Harbor just started this Sunday. But with that, it's been hard on everyone. I guess I don't have to say it, but without saying it, it doesn't seem real. So what we wanted to do is really continue to build identity, even though we weren't together. So we put together some, I'll call them swag bags, of like a shoestring backpack with our new logo and a shirt for everybody. And then we put together coloring books that go with our lessons for Sunday morning. And then some people aren't into coloring but do the word search, so we did those too, and threw in some markers because those are on sale right now. But we just had a great night together with just doing, like Simon Says, freeze dancing in the car. And had just great music going. Everyone stayed in their car and parked a space and a half from everybody else. No one had to leave their car at all. It was really great. But we did even an in-seat parade. So we announced everybody that was there, and then everyone was honking their horns and flashing their lights and making a big deal for everybody that was there, which is fun. Scavenger hunt in the car and a Bible verse. And then the last thing was just about reminder to, in these difficult times, to try to serve others. So we created some coloring pages. We have a retirement home for the senior saints who have had really a horrible time. And so we're collecting cards for people to color and write encouraging notes and getting those up to the folks at Windsor. So it was a great night. And then, so yeah.
I love it. Lots of creative ideas there. Thank you.
Yeah, I have 2 parents that help out a lot, that are great resources. So parents of stars in our ministry. So
awesome. Ellen, did you have your hand up before, or did I imagine that? No. Okay. Another thing my church is doing in early October is, and I totally got this idea from you guys and shared it, and they're running with it, is we're doing a drive-in movie. So that's exciting. So I'll let you know how that goes. All right, anybody else?
My idea that I stole from here was, because we couldn't do a back to school respite, we did pizza parties for each family. But I just had them deliver. Like, I literally just asked families what their favorite place was, and you know, coordinating all these different pizza deliveries on the same night was more work than I thought I was signing up for, but it was also awesome to just get to, and I, like, you know, snuck you know, dessert cookie pizza, or, you know, something in there with each of them. So but yeah, so thanks for all of the ideas flowing around.
Yeah, this group has been phenomenal. I appreciate each and every one of you, that's for sure. Catherine, would you mind giving a little plug for any upcoming events that Key Ministry has?
Sure. Well, today's Monday. Wednesday, we're doing our monthly video roundtable discussion. Beth is hosting this one because it's about volunteers, training and recruitment, and with all of the pandemic stuff. Next week, we're having one of our mental health webinars, and we're going to be talking with Dr. Gersovich and a pastor or two about a special event that Key Ministry is putting together called onlinepastorsretreat.com. I'll put that in the chat here in just a minute, but we felt really concerned and burdened for the impact of the pandemic on everyone, obviously, but in particular on the pastors that just shoulder so much stress and hard things in normal times. And so basically we asked some of our ministry friends and contacts, and much to our delight, almost every single person has said yes. So we have this incredible group of folks assembled.
All right. I think, is she frozen for all of you? Okay. So when she comes back, if you visit keyministry.org/events, you'll get the link to the online pastors retreat and Wednesday's disability ministry video roundtable and next Wednesday's mental health webinar. And if there's anything else that we have going on, and I can't think off the top of my head, that might be it. But oh no, there's something else this Friday that Catherine and I are doing. So anyway, take a look, keyministry.org/events. Good thing it didn't freeze on her making a super funny face. That's always really embarrassing. All right, let's see. Any other things to share? No, Sylvia, you hanging in there?
Yes, we are. We'll be closed forever until 2022. Who knows? We'll never come back. I think Zooming is what we're going to be doing forever. But
Yeah,
it's working well. We did, last week we actually put together backpacks and COVID supplies for our families and did door-to-door drop-offs, which was very exciting for the parents. One parent called me as soon as she got it and said, "This is exactly what I've been looking for." She was able to spray down the house and everything, so that was exciting for them. And just little things for the kids, the children that live far away from us, and I mean like 20, 30 miles away from us. Mm-hmm. We sent them packages, and the parents called or sent me emails to say how exciting it was for the children to receive a package, because I addressed it to the children and sent it to them. We're doing Sunday school. I have Sunday school classes for all three of my age groups. And we have increased in our attendance every Sunday. Seems like it just seems to get better. It's difficult. It's a real challenge. I appreciate what the teachers have to go through when preparing a lesson and everything, because even in the three age groups, we have different age levels and different cognitive abilities. Mm-hmm. So you have to modify everything that you're doing to suit what is happening in the classrooms and everything. So that's been a challenge. I just thank God that I'm an occupational therapist by profession, so I can be real flexible. Mm-hmm. And have learned a lot of stuff in the last 45 years that I've been doing therapy. So that's been a help, and that's where we are. But we're not going to be going back into our church probably, like I said, until 2022.
Wow. Oh, Sylvia, wow. Well, on that note, we are scheduled to meet again in 2 weeks. And that is actually the last one of these that we have scheduled. So I would love to know your thoughts. If you could email me at beth@keyministry.org. So it's beth@keyministry.org. I would just love to hear, what your, Bronwyn. So she typed it. It's okay, Sylvia. You'll be president soon, so the world would be fine by 2022. I think we can all second that motion. But yeah, I would love to hear from you on how Key Ministry can help you during this time. And do we still want to do these on some kind of regular basis? And if so, how often? So if you could shoot me an email on that, I would appreciate it. All right. I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully a lot of you can join in on Wednesday, because I want to hear from all of you, what your plans are. Yes, Barbara, are you raising your hand?
I have a quick question on that.
Yes.
In our ministry, Wonderful Works, our online training ministry, we're also doing recruiting on Wednesday. I'm also going to be talking about how to do it during the pandemic. Is there some resources you guys are going to have that we could send people to if they have more questions or want more information?
So we will be posting some, we have some, and we'll be posting some info on the Key Ministry website.
Okay.
Is yours at the exact same time?
Well, I post every Wednesday and people do it when they want to. So we do a video and then we do a discussion and resources each week on a different topic. And this Wednesday just happens to be the exact same.
Okay. Will you be able to join us on Wednesday?
Possibly. What time is it?
Noon Eastern.
Probably.
Okay, that'd be great, because I really want people to hear more. You guys have some great training videos and that type of thing. And I would love for everybody to hear about those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Well, hope to see you all soon, and hope to hear from you, beth@keyministry.org. And I thank you for your time again this morning, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
See ya.